My name is Jen. I am a student loan expert. I'm a debt management specialist. I'm also an author as well. So to begin, I want to talk about student loan debt. The problem with debt is that people are usually very embarrassed by their debt. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to have to deal with their debt. So they bury their heads in the sand, and what do? They pretend like it's going to go away. Most people don't answer the phone. They just ignore it and think, well, at some point they're going to stop calling. They never stop calling. So they don't go away. So, I had the same issue. So when I was 18, what did I do? I took out credit cards. I went off to college. I had to take out student loans. I had no idea what I was doing. Everybody's in the same boat. I was very fortunate because I started working for a company about 9 years ago that helped me with all of my debt. They taught me about consolidation of student loans. They talked to me about insurance and investments and debt management. And I learned how to manage my debt. So if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here. So I'm definitely grateful for them for sure. So now, there's going to be three basic things that I'm going to talk about today. So I'm going to talk about the problem with student loan debt. And even those of you that don't have student loan debt, you have to understand that student loan debt affects every one of us in this room. So whether you have it or not, it's a big, big problem. And I'm going to explain to you why that is. Then we're going to talk about debt management. So student loan debt, how you can manage that debt. What are your options? How you can get out of it. And then lastly, we're going to talk about credit. So credit repair, little key ways of building up your credit score, little tricks, little things that you just should know naturally. So now first off, and this might be very interesting to most of you, right now we're at $1.3 trillion in student loan debt. So that's a really big number. Now, at the same token, you might not necessarily realize how big of a number that really is. $1.3 trillion. How long do you think it takes to count to a trillion? Just a guess. Somebody give me a guess. Just to count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just you're counting to a trillion. How long do you think it takes?
1,000 times a million.
1,000 times a million? 1,000 times a million. How many years do you think it would take to count to a trillion? Does it take years or days or... Any guesses? No guesses?
10 years.
10 years? Okay. So, and I thought this was crazy too, and I had to do a lot of research to make sure that the person wasn't crazy when they said this number, because I was like, that doesn't make any sense. 31,709 years to count to a trillion if you start counting right now and you do not stop. Every second, no sleeping, no eating, no nothing. That's how big this number is. So a lot of people are like, oh, $1 trillion, $2 million, yeah, whatever, trillion, whatever, who cares? No, 31,000 years just to count to that. I mean, can you imagine? So that's why I want everybody to understand like how important this issue really is, because that's a large number. And just like the mortgage industry, it is about to crash. So we're at the bubble. When you get to $1 trillion in debt, it's going to crumble. And so all of us need to be aware of that issue.
Janet, to put that in perspective, to count to $1 billion would be less than a year.
Oh, wow. That's very good perspective, absolutely. So that's the difference between those two numbers. So now, here's how it affects everybody. So when we have people that have student loan debt, even if you don't have student loan debt, people that have student loan debt, what it means is that's money that they can't put back into the economy. That's money that they can't use to buy whatever it is you might be selling. So for example, let's say you have a hair salon. Well, you have a hair salon, that's great, but guess what? They're giving all their money to Sally Mae. They cannot afford to go and get their hair cut by you, which usually means they cut it themselves. It looks a hot mess, and it's not a good idea at all. But that's the big issue, is that you're going to have people that cannot contribute. And what we're finding is that most people that have student loan debt are not doing things like getting married, buying houses, investing in any type of way. 30% less likely for them to get married and have families because of student loan debt. It's a big issue. Now, good news. There are options, there's solutions, just like anything else. Problem is most people don't know, but there are 7 different payment options for student loan debt. So we have a standard payment, we have an extended repayment plan, we have a graduated repayment plan, then we have something called an IBR plan, we have an ICR plan, an ICRA plan, and we have a pay-as-you-earn plan. Now the first 3, most of you have probably heard about. The last 4, most people tell me they had no idea existed. So let me go over these plans. So standard is standard, so we pretty much all know what that means. You're making regular interest and principal payments over usually a 10-year time frame. Very basic. Then we have the extended plan, which usually means what they do is they extend the term out. So instead of a 10-year, now you have a 20 or 25-year plan, depending on what your balance is and other factors. Now, a graduated repayment is when you're making interest-only payments for the first 2 years generally, and then you go back to a standard plan. After the graduated plan, you have the IBR plan. IBR means income-based repayment. So income-based repayment is based on income factors, whether it be family size, income, student loan balances, and so forth. Then we have ICRA. ICRA is a new plan. It's a completely new plan that's only been out for, well, I guess it's been like 7 years now. That's based on a lot of very, very specific things like debt and family size and when you took the loan out and when the loan was dispersed. There's all these little tricks. So there's a lot of different options. Now, because most people don't realize that there's options, they just assume that they have to just pay that standard plan. So let me give you an example. IBR. So let's say you have $100,000 in student loan debt, and you're making, say, $40,000 a year, which would be standard for somebody just coming out of school, first job. Family size of 1, it's just you, and your interest rate 6.8%, which is pretty standard for a Stafford interest rate loan right now. So with a standard payment, you're going to pay $1,150 per month as a monthly payment on a $100,000 student loan. So it's a pretty high rate. It's higher than a lot of mortgages out there. Now, with that, you qualify for IBR. Most people probably don't even know that they do. An IBR payment is $297. Big difference. $1,150 or $297. Which one do you want to pay? So that's, the important thing about learning and understanding these different programs is knowing that you have options available. Now let's take that same person, $100,000 student loan debt. Now they're making $75K. Still just them, still same interest rate. They still qualify for IBR. Their payment's not as low. Their payment's going to actually go down to $734. It's still lower than $1,150. It's a big difference. $1,150, $734. I take the $734. But people that make $75,000 a year assume they don't qualify for income-based repayment because they think income-based repayment is for people that don't make any money. And that's the misconception that there is with these programs. Now, also, too, that same person that makes $75,000 a year and has $100,000 in student loan debt, they qualify for forgiveness, which means a portion of their loans will be forgiven by the government. Again, nobody knows. They don't know this exists. If you can make $75,000 a year or $80,000 a year and they actually qualify making $100,000 a year to still get forgiveness and a reduced payment. People don't know that exists. Therefore, they don't sign up for it. Now, there's 3 different forgiveness options. And so a lot of people always ask me like, well, don't you have to be a teacher to qualify for forgiveness, or you have to be a nurse or a doctor or whatever the case may be. And that's not the case. There's 3 different programs. There's public service loan forgiveness, which is based on those factors. So whether you work in the public sector, you can be an accountant at a 501c3 company, which is a nonprofit organization, or a doctor or a teacher or a librarian or whatever the case may be. Public service loan forgiveness, you're going to qualify for forgiveness after 10 years of repayment, as long as you stay in the public sector. Then we have the IBR forgiveness plan. Now that's based on income, so income-based repayment forgiveness program. After 25 years, whatever is left over on your balance will be forgiven. Doesn't matter what industry you work in, doesn't matter. You have to do paperwork every year, you have to stay on top of what you're doing, but yes, you can get forgiveness. Then you have the pay-as-you-earn. Now, like I said before, pay-as-you-earn is a fairly new program. How this one works is very specific. You have to have taken loans out after October 1st, 2011, but not before October 1st, 2007. So it's a very small niche group of people. But for those people that qualify for this program, they're going to get forgiveness after 20 years. So there's all sorts of options. And the reason I mention those options is because I want people to understand that in most cases, you probably fall into one of those buckets. You probably qualify for something, whether it be public service loan forgiveness or one of the other options to get your loans paid off by the government. And that's what you want. If you can get some relief, why not take advantage of it? The programs are made specifically for that reason. Now, once you've gotten on top of your student loan debt management, obviously the natural next progressive step is to work on your credit. And credit's a big issue. Most people don't understand how their credit really works. Most people don't know how to handle or manage their credit. With student loans, if you're late on your credit, you're making your payments with Sallie Mae, it's going to ding your credit. So it's going to affect you. If you've been late 3 or more times, it's a big issue and it's going to show up on your credit. So for starters, how many of you in this room actually know what your credit score is right now today? You know what it is. So we got 2 people, 3, 2.5. 3 people know what their credit score is. You should know what your credit score is. You should always know. And if you don't know what your score is, I want you to, if you have a pen or a cell phone or whatever, jot this down because this is going to be important. Go to www.creditkarma.com. That will give you a free credit score. They don't ask for a credit card. You don't have to put any additional money info in there. I want to go over basically what your credit is made out of. So we have 35%. 35% of your score is based on timely, and you have to excuse my writing because I'm not good at writing, timely payments, okay? So obviously what that means is that you have to pay on time. Now timely doesn't mean you're late once and they're gonna ding you. They're not going to. Timely means within 30 days you've made a payment on your account. So 35% of your score is built on that. Now we have 30% of your score is going to be based on, your amount owed. So for example, if you have a credit card that gives you $10,000 and you've spent $9,000 of it, you're utilizing 90% of your available credit. That's not good. Now if you're only using $1,000, that's really good. So amount owed is very important and it makes up 30%. Now 15% of your score is going to be based on time. Now time is really important because I can't fix time. Nobody can fix time. We can't go back in time. We can't change time. So the 15% that's based on time is how long you've had a credit card that's been good. So for example, let's say you took out a credit card in, I'll use me as an example, 1995, 18 years old, that pretty much tells my age. Took out a credit card, that was what, 19 years ago. Now let's say you close that card. You've had this card for 19 years, you decide, I don't want that card. It's got $95 yearly fee, I don't want it. When you close that credit card, it now hurts your credit because you've gotten rid of the time. So you were showing that you were good standing for 19 years and now it's gone, now you're back to 0. You do not want to close a credit card unless there's a serious problem with it because we can't get the time back. We can fix a lot of other things. We can get rid of some of the timely payments and we can get rid of some of the amount owed and we can do some of that. We cannot change time. So that's, even though it's only 15%, it's a big factor because we can't do anything with it. Now we have 10%, which is going to be based on the type of debt that you have. So type of debt is going to be, for example, let's say you have 4 credit cards and they're all Victoria's Secret, Macy's, Boscov's. That's all you have. That's all you have. So it looks like all you do is shop. Like you don't have anything else. You don't have a house. You don't have a car. You just shop. You don't want to show everything just in revolving credit. So when you have the type, you want to have a balanced portfolio. So they're going to be looking at things like, you got a mortgage, great. You got a car payment, that makes sense. You got, maybe you got a little bit of student loan, cool. You got 1 or 2 credit cards, fantastic. You don't want to have everything in one bucket. So that's really important. And then the final thing, last but not least, is going to be your credit inquiries. So new credit. So it's not a huge percentage, but it's still a factor. So credit inquiries is anytime you go to a bank or a car place or wherever and you're asking them to give you money. Every time they pull your credit, it affects your credit inquiries. You don't want to have more than 2, maybe 3 max in a 24-month time frame because it starts to ding you. So you need to make sure that you know where your credit score is. So if you're going to the bank to get a loan, you should know what your score is, what you qualify for. You're ready to go. You don't have to question, are they going to deny me? And then now I got to try and apply with somebody else. So it's very important that you understand how many credit inquiries you're using and where you are, so you don't have to keep asking people for more credit. So those things are really important to understand. Now, I know a lot of people don't necessarily realize this, but on average, you want to have probably about a 720 credit score. You know, I mean, obviously, the higher it is, the better. If you can have an 800, great. But if you have a 720, it's going to get you the best buying power. You know, you're going to have the lowest interest rates. You're going to have lower car insurance, which a lot of people don't realize. Your car insurance, one of the factors is your credit score. If you're paying higher car insurance than your friend, guess what? They have a higher credit score. Another big thing, too, is that a lot of people say, well, I don't really care about my credit. Who cares? I don't really need it. I don't use it. What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is that people that have lower credit or zero credit pay $200,000 more in their lifetime for the same stuff that the people that have good credit do. So why would you want to just give away $200,000? I mean, buy some shoes, buy whatever you want with that money, but don't just give it away. Build up your credit score so that you can get the lowest possible interest rate on your car payment, the lowest possible interest rate on your mortgage, and keep that $200,000 to yourself. So it's really, really big. When you look at the full, like, lifelong value, you have to have a good credit score. So the moral of the story, basically, just so that everybody understands, is that I don't want people to be embarrassed by their debt. And I know a lot of people walk around embarrassed by their debt. They don't want to talk about it, and they don't want other people to know what they have going on. They bury their head in the sand, and it's just a big issue. We're not going to be embarrassed by debt anymore. What we're going to do is we're going to fix it. We're going to work on it. There's people out there that can help, whether it's myself or somebody else. Somebody has the information that you need to get yourself on track, out of debt, get rid of student loans, get your forgiveness, get whatever you need to get yourself in a better situation. And then I'm gonna close with this. I want to give you a little story about a client that I worked with. And it's a real client, but I'm going to change her name to Sarah. So Sarah came to me about a year ago. She was 4 days away from being garnished by the government. Judgment came in, they were going to garnish her wages. They were going to take about, $760 per month. Now, for some people, maybe that's not a big deal. Sarah made $8.50 an hour. She wouldn't make any money. She had 4 children. $760 would destroy her family. She had 4 days to fix it. Luckily, she called me. Within 4 days, I was able to contact her lenders, get her a $10 a month payment. Now, not only did her payment go down to $10 a month, which is obviously in itself fantastic and saved her, she also was able to rehabilitate all of that debt. And now, as of today, it shows up on her credit report as in good standing, never been late, never been bad, ever, because of the rehabilitation process. Now, did she know that when she called me? No. Would she have been able to do that on her own? Maybe, but I doubt it. So it's really important to get the help that you need. So with that being said, the trick, if you want to call it that, is getting the help that you need, number one. Realizing that there's somebody out there that probably can help you. And then the real big thing, though, is that you need to be an active participant in becoming successful with managing your debt. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.